So I went on this whole rant about how your main thing is going to be attacking the neck between guillotines and triangles and stuff like that. There's also a couple of arm attacks, but to get the arm attacks, I have to change the alignment of my body. I shouldn't say there's no way, but it's really hard from here to go from exactly how I am to an armbar without basically changing the position. So the first thing I want to do, now the reason why I would do this is a number of reasons. One, I just want to go to the clamp position. Another one is sometimes you get people and they're trying to like walk themselves back, right? So I'm trying to do hook sweeps and stuff like that, but he's doing a good job of keeping his hips heavy. He might be putting his pressure too far back where I can't get any lift. Or sometimes what happens is the person is almost pushing into you too much where you feel like you're just going to collapse and fall over. So either way, I want to take this bottom foot and I'm going to put it right on his hip. I'm going to keep my knee bent. Now from here, what I want to do is I'm going to take my overhook arm and I'm going to pull him towards me this way. And I want to stay on my side. This is really important. Don't try to lay flat on your back. Right? I stay on my side. This foot on the hip is my safety net. So he should never be able to like put too much pressure into me, because if at any point he does that, I should always be able to just kick him in the hip. Right? But I want to keep connection with his hip. I'm not trying to actively kick him away with this foot. This is just here just to kind of block him and keep him at bay. This foot, what I want to do is get my heel as close to this space between his ear and his shoulder. This is a really strong spot just in general. If I can get my foot here, it's going to help me control his shoulders, and if I can control his shoulders, I can control his posture. So if you have the flexibility, right, you can just throw your foot in here. Now, I like to take my arm out when I'm in this position, right, and I'm really trying to get my heel hooked on this little spot there. Now, my top leg is really important. I want to think about pulling my knee down towards the floor like this. Another thing I'll do too to get a good grip is I'll take this free hand that's just sitting here doing nothing, and I'm going to grab my shin, almost like if I was a triangle or in a triangle, and I'm going to take this top hand and I just kind of hug my knee like this. Now this clamp is different than a Williams guard. If you're familiar with Williams guard, I'm usually under my leg and I got all this stuff going on. I'm not saying Williams guard isn't bad. It's my favorite one of all the clamp guards. This is just the fastest way to get to a clamp guard from the butterfly position we're in. But this knee is really important, right? If I don't put any pressure on here, Pat can move around, he can start to get his arm out, he can do all kinds of stuff. I want to think about pinching my knees together. So to make sure that I'm in a good spot, the way it should look is I should have a top leg, Pat's head, then my bottom leg. Right? At no point should you be in any sort of situation like this, where it's like still in that alignment, but now it's going, I guess that'd be, well, we'll just say left to right rather than top to bottom. Right? So I want to keep them smashed and I want to stay on my side from here. And I just want you guys to get comfortable and get in the position before we start getting freaky with the moves. Where I have these overhooks, I always want to try to angle off. Right? The way I always think about it is I should be able to kind of just like pull his whole upper body down really hard and his face should just smack the floor. And if I ever am in front of him and I go to do that, I'm not going to, I'm just going to pull him into me, which is silly. So I should have enough of an angle where if I go here, that's going to happen. And that's where all the guillotine stuff happens that we talked about before. Like I said, either I want to go to the clamp position or he starts pulling away or whatever the case may be. But the first thing I need to do is get this bottom foot here, because this is what's going to save my life should shit go wrong. Now, once this comes up, I'm going to keep this tight to me, and I don't ever worry about trying to like pull him on top of me. What I do is just think about keeping his shoulder close to me, and he has to go when I go. Try to keep me from laying on my side, okay? Okay. All right, like I'm already in the position. I just got to get to here. So I'm trying to get here, and like I said, I like to take my hand out just to give me more space. I'm pinching here. You can hold, you can hug. So one of the first things I'm always trying to do when I get in this position is I'm going to take his hand and I'm going to push with no thumb. I mean, I guess you could use a thumb. I guess it doesn't matter. I just generally go with no thumb. But I'm going to push his hand down into my leg. I want to glue his forearm and his bicep to my thigh. And it's literally just a bullshit Kimura. I'm just going to slide up until he taps. There's no technique. There's nothing fancy to it. Just find the wrist and keep it pushed in, right? He's going to be fighting back. Go ahead and try to straighten your arm out. Right? He's going to be doing that stuff. So I always want to think about pushing it down and away here. Now, if you get to this position where he's keeping his arm really tight, that's when I can start bringing the second arm in. Right? I'm going to keep this knee pulling down towards the floor so I can come up, and now you can start to lock up a normal Kimura. The more he fights the grip, the less I have to connect my hands. Right? The more he fights, and I just go through that Kimura.
Tap.
See what I mean? Now loosen up a little bit. Right here, even though he has really tight shoulders, he's going to have more play. Like here, I can connect my hands. But if he stays really tight, right, I'm trying to like punch at the elbow as I keep going through the same motion. There's no slack in the joint that way. So like understanding the mechanics of, I always know that the break is towards the pinky, right? Because if his pinky's here, his elbow's here. So when it comes to these down bars, I'm really trying to rotate and get his pinky up as much as possible, because that's where the bone is right here, right? And then from here, right there is the sweet spot, right? So just by giving a little pressure here, that's where the break comes on those. Now, sometimes you get there, right? So I'm here, doing all of the stuff, right? I'm able to isolate the arm. I start to come and turn it, and either he's fighting back, this isn't working, or sometimes you feel like you might actually like lose the arm and it's about to go over your face. One of the things I want to do is make sure my head's not here. Right now, the only thing from stopping his hand from going to the floor is my head, right? If I slide my chest back, his hand's just gonna drop across my chest. So that's the first thing I'm gonna do, right? As I pull my head back, I'm gonna give a little bump with like my chest and my belly, right? Like I'm trying to just kind of blast his arm and give it a little momentum. As I do that little bump, his hand's gonna come across, right? And I'm gonna start to catch it this way. You see how it falls right into my hand? I'm using that momentum to think about bringing my shin over the back of his head, and I want to try to get my knees on the mat. So I'm going to go here. Now, once I get here, you see how my butt's up in the air and I'm not laying flat on my belly? I'm going to start to just turn towards his feet. Now, from here, I can finish it and get a nasty armbar. Sometimes you can't finish it, or the person starts to fight back. This is really important. Pay attention to this foot on the back of his head. You see how I'm not just resting it like this? I'm actively trying to hook my ankle on the back of his head. Now, either he's going to roll or it's not working and I want him to roll. When I go to hook his leg, right in the front, I'm going to grab where his shoelaces would be. Here on his, up by the front of his foot, towards his ankle. And I just bring his heel to his butt, like this. Now, once I get here, I'm going to start to roll to my back, right? And I keep this clamp that he has here. I can finish it right here, this way. You could bring this foot over this way and finish it. You could bring this foot over this way and finish it. You can do it the conventional way, where you step over this way and finish it. The biggest thing I want you to pay attention to is I want all of this to be tight. Right now I'm leaning back like an asshole, just to exaggerate, but I want to be here, right, where he feels like his arm's like about to pop before I do anything. And then all I have to do is just give a little, and there it is.